Hello creeps, and welcome back for another venture video. Sadly, going to be the last one for Season 7 because last night we got it, the finale, episode number 10, the Saphrax Protocol. Well, while this may have been the finale of the season, I can tell you that it won't be the finale of us joining together for one of these venture videos, but let's start from the start. Back in the Unicorn in captivity, we got the story of the Monarch stealing the transporter from the Ventec building, and we never really got an answer of what the fuck that was for. Whether that was all just a bunch of sound and fury for nothing, but I guess it wasn't, because apparently he kept up his end of the bargain and continued being the good guild boy that he's become this season, because in the beginning of this episode number 10, a team of guild wasps use it to re-enter the Ventec building in order to take Rusty hostage for a very special purpose, which turns out to be a lot easier of a task than they'd expected it to be, with him drowsily walking into the back room that they're in before even the last guy has a chance to even make his way through the teleporter. So they're able to get their hands on him and don't even have to deal with Samson. What a wonderful deal that turned out to be. Or did it? Alright, so Rusty is then teleported to Meteor Major to be held for a very special ritual, as I said, which is being held for the Monarch and 21, who are finally being initiated as a level 10 and his number 2 at long last, after this whole very un-21 and Monarch season where they're acting very out of character, but in a good way. Something is finally paying off in that sense. So, they must perform the trials of the original Arch and Hench, Saphrax and Aletheus, who were real figures in Gothic history in the time of the Roman Empire. If you watched this and thought that this was all fictional, well, I don't know if the story that they told in it is their actual story, because it didn't really seem like they gave a concrete actual story of these two. They just said that Saphrax was the first man to hold a grudge for a living, and Aletheus was his sidekick. Yeah, unfortunately I'm not a history major, and it doesn't seem like there's too much about them on here. One of you will have to do this for us, I guess. So then, we go to a strange mixture of Empire Strikes Back and Barbarella, which is a land that Hank has dubbed Coma Town, where he's with his godfather, Action Man, who had a stroke at the end of the Morphic trilogy earlier on this season, if you don't remember that. That's why he's there. So Action Man believes that he is dead, apparently, and Hank tells him that he had the stroke, so he's in a coma with him. And Hank thinks that he's there because he saved Serena's life, but I don't know if he actually thinks that. That might just be his brain trying to give him a little bit of some peace through all of this horror that he's just seen. So then Action Man returns the favor by telling Hank that he needs to grow up before returning to the land of the living, or he'll end up like his father, obsessing over any woman who gives him the slightest amount of attention. Telling Hank that he is indeed talking about his mother, who apparently was actually an actress named Bobby St. Simone, but that was before having her name changed and getting a restraining order against Rusty because he got a little bit too obsessive. I don't know, I guess that's something that we're gonna have to just hold our breath for, because there's definitely nothing so far about Bobby St. Simone other than the fact that it was Jimmy Schmitz's character's name in NYPD Blue. So while all this strange yet very cathartic shit is unwinding, we finally get something else that's very cathartic, because we have not seen it in a very long time. We get to see Brock Samson go full Swiss murder machine for the first time in probably about 4 seasons. Like, I think it was probably the end of the 3rd season when the assassins got sent by the OSI to take him out. I think that was the last time we really got to see him get a murder boner like this. He just completely dismantles the team of wasps that gets sent to watch the perimeter while the ritual is going on, and while Rusty is on Meteor Major, but Brock just keeps on killing them and sending them back through the teleporter with notes attached to them saying, "Send Doc back." So they really don't have too much of a choice by the end. So meanwhile, during the performance/ritual, 21 is offered a position as a full Arch, being able to start off as a level 4, which is pretty low, but it was just last season that the Monarch himself was there at level 4, so Gary could definitely build himself up pretty easily. And while this is happening, the Monarch is given a non-prop sword to destroy his true enemy. And then it is revealed why Rusty is there. he is behind a curtain, bound and gagged for the Monarch to, have his way with. Which he actually spurns the invitation to do, because the Monarch has had enough of all this bureaucratic bullshit. He's gone this far only to get to his day of triumph, only to get some more weird red tape and bullshit to accompany what is supposed to be something that is both exciting and, like I said, triumphant for him. And they're kind of ruining it for him by both sandbagging him by making his number 2 a full arch, and by, kind of destroying his whole purpose of wanting to be an arch, so he can arch anyone and fulfill his life's destiny of making Rusty miserable. And if he kills him, how can he do that? And this is a feeling which is shared by his hench. Neither of them wanting to break their partnership, which has solidified like a diamond over these past 3 seasons, beginning with Gary wanting to go off and become a hero of sorts on his own, and then realizing that that really isn't the life that he wants. And after the Monarch is trying to kind of get his footing after losing Dr. Girlfriend as his number 2, they've both kind of been wandering a bit, losing their footing, catching their footing, and finally ending with their killing the creep at the end of the last episode, which was probably the biggest thing anyone in the guild's done, other than the Sovereign being overthrown. But then after all of this, when they spurn both of these things, it just turns out that it's just proving how strong their bond has become, and that this was merely the final test, which the two of them have passed with flying colors. So, the Monarch and 21, Malcolm and Gary, are officially a level 10 arch and his number 2. So, that's something that I think is very exciting, because, the Monarch, he was always so cool, but it was always in a jokey, funny kind of way, in that he was a failure and a loser. And now that he realized that he had to kind of actually pick himself up by his bootstraps, no more trust fund, no more girlfriend to make him look good, and save the day when he fucks everything up, he's got to do it for real. And he finally has. Okay, so while Hank is in his and Action Man's coma town, Dean is sitting over him, reading off a list of why he's a crap brother. With no Serena in sight, unfortunately. The betrayal apparently is more of the straw that broke the camel's back more than anything else. This seems to be something that's upsetting a lot of people, but to me, the relationship was not very sturdy to begin with. I really didn't think too much of the two of them dating. Action Man is honestly, in my opinion, being very generous, if anything, calling it puppy love. Because to me, it really was just, that first girlfriend where you realize, that, just because somebody, like he said, just because somebody's giving you attention doesn't mean that they're the love of your fucking life. You just got to rip that Band-Aid off and kind of just do you, which is what we're getting. I don't think that this means that we're not getting any more Serena in the Ventureverse. I just think that she was just a linchpin in the Venture Brothers being split apart, but she still exists in the Wide Whale angle of the story, unless Wide Whale won't be returning after his departure from the council. Something we'll have to wait and see, but I think that they built him up a bit too much for him to just go away, and they built her up a bit too much for her to just go away. But either way, we are promised at the end of the credits that the Venture Brothers will indeed return, so we'll find out one way or the other. So, in saying that, we know that both sets of the Venture Brothers will be returning, since it is finally officially revealed that Rusty and Malcolm Monarch are indeed blood brothers. Whether it's half brothers, full brothers, we don't know yet, but it's discovered by Watch and Ward after they run tests on their blood, and seemingly reveal it to them after the Monarch has finally earned his moment of triumph, which is again marred by this, ending the season outside of the Meteor stronghold with his reaction of this less than exciting news. Well, in my humble opinion, I think that we have just witnessed the best season of one of the best shows to ever air on television. Starting with a bang that seemed like it would turn the future of this story on its head, only to sweep all these revelations that were big, crazy ones under the rug and go back to the story that ended so abruptly at the end of Season 6. In this, Newark, New York connection that was being established for the audience along with the OSI and the Guild. As I hinted in the beginning of this episode, this won't be the end for us either. I will be rewatching the 6th and 7th season in full to unpack this entire story, and I'm going to be starting from all this in Gargantua 2, so be sure to leave some comments on here of what you want to hear me talk about, creeps, because I want to know what you want to hear, and I want to give it to you. Well, until next time, creeps, I hope you've enjoyed following along with us as much as I've enjoyed giving this to you. Until I see you next, Doc out, creeps.